And we're live, everyone. Today,
Right?
today's a special one. Can I just kind of my brief introduction, then Elisa's introduction? Today is a very special day. We have Cara Peterson and Richard DeBona, the founders of Describe.AI, and it's gonna be also a special one because today is Elisa's birthday.
Yay!
So
I'm 21 again.
round of applause, everyone. Yeah. So I
Thank
hope you
you.
guys will enjoy this one because yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
Right. So, in our usual fashion, welcome Cara and Richard. And as Elena said, this is a true Valentine's Day special because Cara and Richard are a power couple, husband and wife team who share interest in technology, the law, and democratization of information. So, today's talk is going to be about the access to justice, or A2A. And Cara and Richard are the co founders of Describe AI. It's a singular generative AI legal search engine that anyone can access, use, and understand. And Cara is a communication expert with a special focus on mission driven organizations. And while Rich brings that deep expertise in using emerging technology to solve complex problems. And Describe AI is actually a member of the Justice Technology Association and has been nominated for several prestigious legal tech awards since their launch in June. And their quick ascent is reflective of the massive shift in AI that is driving in the legal sector. And Kara and Rich will explain what their mission is, which is to make sure that the shift benefits everyone and not just those that are already well served by the law, legal professionals, lawyers, and things like that. As you guys know, our talk series motto is AI in real life, AI for everyone. So I always want to remind our audiences that today we're not going to be talking about this types of apocalyptic scenarios when machines have you and whatnot, but we're actually going to concentrate on the real life implications. And today our topics will just briefly introduce the concept of access to justice and why it's important, and then the bulk of our time will spend really talking about Describe AI and how this tool, this engine, can help us all with legal search and access to justice. And I think we're going to do the live demo of the search engine, and Karen and Rich will help us with that. So, and we also welcome all the live comments and questions, and that would be great if you guys, the audience, could actually give us some scenarios, or maybe some legal question that you have, and we'll try to demo that in the real time. So with that, without further ado, I'm passing the baton to Karen Rich, and we'll take it from there.
Great. Thank you so much for that nice introduction. We're really excited to be here. We are in Boston, Massachusetts, where there was supposed to be a giant snowstorm, which turned out to be a sad little rainstorm for the most part. So hopefully everybody else is staying safe in this weird weather. Again, I'm Cara Peterson. I am half of the Describe.AI team. I tend to do the marketing and the business development, and Rich, my husband, is the tech side. So I'll just give a little introduction from myself about what we're doing and why this is particularly related to access to justice. And for us, AI is a really exciting moment in time. I've been someone who's worked in the public health sphere and some other spheres for years about sort of equity and how do we give people the tools for bettering their lives. And AI has so much potential in that space, and there's so many things that it can do to bring services to people that don't have them currently. There's, of course, many downsides to AI and many risks, but the legal space is a very interesting one to start to think about how AI can enable access to justice. Again, it needs to be managed very carefully, and it needs to be thought through very deliberately so that we're doing the right things with it. But it is a potential game changer. And we were just at Legal Week in New York, and to see what was going on there in the exhibit halls, and just what was on everyone's lips is AI, AI. And our sense is definitely that people are excited. They want to figure out how to make this work, but there's also a lot of trepidation and just sort of confusion about what AI is going to bring to the legal space. And so Rich and I are interesting in that neither of us are lawyers. I did work at Suffolk Law School for a while in the marketing department. I ran the marketing team there, so that's as close as we got. So when we thought up the idea for Describe, we really came at it, I think, in some ways you could say perhaps naively, or more like you could say with open eyes and open minds, because we didn't know as much about the legal space. So the solution we designed really came from an engineering perspective, which of course Rich will be able to tell you, rather than thinking of sort of all the baggage that's around, the law and access to law. And we had a personal interest in how we got involved in this exact sort of experiment. So I'll stop there and let Rich talk more about the tech.
I mean, do you got questions for Cara or anything, or before?
No, we want to hear this.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? What happened?
No, we're now intrigued.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, what Describe is pretty much all of the state appellate and Supreme Court judicial opinions, all the case law from the entire country, and we're working on federal now, in one space that could be searched by AI. And every opinion has been summarized down using AI. So it's kind of like Cliff Notes or something like that, where you could see like a summary, just what the case was about very quickly. And it allows you to search and read the case very quickly and easily in plain English, which, whether you're a lawyer or not, makes it a lot easier.
Yep, plain English, I think, is the is the key here.
Yeah.
Because these opinions themselves, of course, they're very dense. But even if you're reading a summary or some sort of case briefs elsewhere, and I've had that experience as a law student, of course, with different tools. Some of them are not as helpful to you, but some can be very helpful. And I'm kind of curious to see, what Describe AI can offer in that space.
Sure.
Yeah, and if even before, just an interesting piece of sort of, if we're not lawyers, like, why did we pick this? And so it was actually a pretty interesting story. When you're not a lawyer and you have a need to understand something in the law, it's really hard, right? And that's the most obvious statement in the world, right? But so we had something that we wanted to understand better. And Rich in particular was looking up case law and was getting interested in, reading some precedent and things that had been going on, and just finding how difficult it was to actually either access things, or even just some of these are so long, and he can speak to it. But this is what actually motivated us to create this product, was seeing how the paywalls, and it's so difficult to access this information as sort of just a regular person out there. And to me, it struck me as a very interesting, and this is not new to anyone who's in the law, but the idea that the law really belongs to us, right? But yet we can't access it, right? And it's very difficult for people to engage with it unless they have training and things like that. So that spurred a lot of what the tool has turned into be, and why it has an access to justice bent. So Rich created, he can tell you more, but he created something just really for himself to summarize cases. And then we realized that this was much more than just something for ourselves to use. So Rich, I don't know if you'd add anything to that.
No, I mean, that's right. It was a combination of, I have these judicial opinions that I like to read for some weird reason. And I also, there's this new technology. This was probably pretty much a year ago, almost to the day, I would say, that the OpenAI stuff was so big and everybody was talking about ChatGPT. And as an engineer, I was like, what? I wanted to kind of dive in. It looked like it was going to stick. So I decided to just kind of see what it had to offer. But I didn't want to just look at ChatGPT. I looked at other types of models and things that the OpenAI offered, and one of them was this text summarization. So I was really impressed by how that worked. And so I took it as a challenge. I've read in a couple judicial opinions and then compared them to the original and read through them, and it actually was good at it. And so then I read in a few more and started to um, I got a subscription or free access to that Harvard free law project, which has a lot of judicial opinions from around the country on there, and started reading in all of Massachusetts. And then I found myself with this database of um, summarized judicial opinions. And I saw that there was another part of OpenAI that allows you to do this type of natural language search using something called embeddings, and people are doing this now. Um, this whole RAG thing that you see people talking about, I kind of did it without knowing what it was before people were talking about it, but I think it's pretty similar in concept. And so the searches, I think what got Kara involved was I was doing this for a couple months, and then like maybe last April or May, I'm like, Kara, you've got to see this thing. And she's like, what is your latest thing that you're working on? Because I'm always like working with new technologies. And I said, look at the way this thing could search. And so we started typing in, and it was so much, the results were even so much better than we had anticipated. And the way you could type in words that didn't even have to match. Like, I think the first thing I typed in was golf course, and then it was smart enough to know like return results about country clubs and things. Like, you didn't have to know the words. And of course that translates later on, now that all the cases are loaded, into like, you don't have to know what contributory negligence is, or undue influence, or some of the things that only lawyers know. You could type in, somebody coerced my mother to change her will, and then it would return cases about that. And it knows what will is. Like, it knows that you're talking about a will, and not like, will this person go to the store, will this person, it knows how to disambiguate these words, which makes it a lot better for searching in a lot of cases than just a regular search engine. Because if you type in will into something else that's just looking for a key word match, then you might have an issue. But anyway, that was probably a lot to unpack there, so I'll pause for a sec. Do you have any do you want me to just show it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we just kind of
Maybe that's the best way. Yeah. And the good thing about this, let me figure out how to share my screen here. We have made this completely free and open, let me find the tab. There it is. Can you see it okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Okay.
we can see it.
Okay. So you'll notice on here, there's no logins, there's no registration, there's nothing. You could just start going in and searching, which some people have called us crazy for, but we kind of like getting this out there to as many people as possible. And so if you can see it has landlord invasion, which was just a random thing I typed in. But let's say that you type, but do you have any ideas for what to type in, or should I just make something up?
We should ask our audiences.
Okay.
Anyone there? Do you guys have a legal? It's not even a legal question. It's like, you can give us. It's almost works like a fact pattern. Something like, I slipped and fell near Safeway and broke my arm.
Mhm.
Somebody has a scenario, or like makeup, or maybe real life, because it will be really interesting. If you guys have something, you can comment, and we'll see the live comments in our stream. So. And if you're still coming up with your ideas, that's fine. We can type something, and
I could type something in the meantime or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, give an example.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
let's
just to
say,
reiterate, yeah, this is also
oh,
state law still, but I guess as Rich said and Cara, we'll get to federal. We hopefully will get federal precedents later, but right now it's all state law.
Right.
yes. So let's say um, was not read. I've never typed this in. I've never searched this before.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So I like to do new things. Kara's first thing
Oh,
was
Miranda,
somebody
right?
was hit by an ice cream truck. So I'll show you how fast it is. I'll hit, you could see when I hit click.
Yeah. And for our audiences, I mean, maybe may not be familiar with the Miranda warnings. This is something that in the United States, whenever you're getting arrested, by the law enforcement, they're supposed to read you your constitutional rights. Otherwise, they might get in trouble. So, just long
Yep.
story short.
I mean, if anyone ever watched any American movie with the cops are involved, you have the right to remain silent. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of
Yeah.
like
You,
I'm
you
pretty
have
sure
the
they,
right.
they know all the rights by like heart, but they just don't know they called Miranda rights.
Right.
It's
Yes.
just
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you have
Yeah,
the
and you
right
could
to remain
see,
silent.
and there's just so many cases around that are around with, especially with access to justice, I think, and I'm by no means an expert, but where people aren't read their rights, or they're just kind of, the police are a little bit aggressive and do things kind of skirting the law. So there's a lot of opinions around this type of thing. So this, you could see, like, here's a summary of a case. The defendant was questioned by police about the robberies. He was told he wasn't under arrest. So this is an actual AI summary of the original case. And then if I click, this one happens to have and we did these abstracts, which are kind of like case briefs,
Mm-hmm.
like a million cases and counting. So if I click this, then I see the People's State of Illinois. This is the
Yeah.
docket numbers, like it's the real stuff. So you can then go and look it up in your tool or type down. Now you know the case. If you type this into Google, you'll find the case. Um, and then this is like a case brief of it, an abstract,
That's
and
right.
it tells you the background. This is AI generated using prompts. So we're probably the first humans to read this. As someone's happened to find this case before. Um, and so you could see the procedural history, issues presented, analysis, holding, conclusion. Then you see, this
And
is
here's
where, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just kind of talking out loud. So yeah, that was. I mean, the first part it actually resembles the case brief, how you would approach that in law school. I think, especially the conclusion. Oh, remanded, reversed. What's going on there? So yeah, I'm curious to see what the summary would be. Um, mm,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And so here's the summarized opinion. So you can read through this, and
mhm,
it's still pretty long, but when we see the original, this was what, like 8 paragraphs.
right.
So now when we see the original, this is the exact opinion that it
Mhm,
took and summarized. And you could see, like, if you're just a pro se person or whatever, you may not know what all this means right away, and you don't know how to read through this. But even if you're a lawyer, I mean, this is quite a lot to read. You know,
yeah.
this is a whole bunch of pages, but you could definitely read that. The idea of this, of Describe, is to kind of point you in the right direction to a case. Like, let's say a client, if you're a lawyer, somebody walks through the door, and Elisa, what was your example? Slip.
No, we actually have a couple of
Okay,
examples
yeah,
here.
Yeah, I
go
was
ahead.
gonna
Well,
say.
also
I
Rachel.
can't see the screen, so
Yeah.
now that I have this, so
We
tell me
have,
what it
I
is.
guess, personal injury, slipping and falling on icy sidewalks in Massachusetts. And I
So
think we
slip.
have another, yeah, here we
Okay,
go.
The
Injuries
next
from
one was
snowing.
this one.
so
Um,
slip and fall on
yeah.
an icy sidewalk,
And the
and
second one
then
was about family
in
life.
Massachusetts. So this is where you could narrow down by state. The ones with the little sparkles have those case briefs.
Yeah.
Um, Not all of them have it yet. It's super expensive to run these, because it has to read in the entire opinion and go through and figure it out. So there's just a lot of input tokens, and it just sucks up the your billing so fast. But so I'll click Massachusetts for this, then I click search, and it comes up so fast you don't even really realize it changed. Um, so the case, so there's no um, back to a technical thing.
Mhm.
Everything is all pre-summarized, and that's what it's been doing for the last year, is summarizing the opinions. So when you type in a query here, you are not actually going out to some chat GPT or OpenAI or whatever and generating these summaries. They're already there, and that's why it's so fast. So you don't see the spinner for 30 seconds while it tries to
Rich,
do stuff.
Rich, you have
Go ahead.
tell them the funny story about the artificial delay.
Oh yeah. At first
This
it
is
was
funny.
like, yeah,
Is
it
it
was so
insane?
fast. Yeah, it was so fast. And so for a while I had an just something spinning here for like 3 seconds so that you would think that something's happening. But then instead I just kind of blanked the screen. And
Yeah,
it
because
was like,
otherwise it looked like it was just like it's like it wasn't showing up. We're like it's not clear how hard it's working to make this come up. So we put in this fake spinner, but we took it away from
Yeah, yeah.
so here's something in Massachusetts. Case involves a plaintiff who fell on an icy sidewalk outside a rental property.
Mhm.
So, and you get a relevance score on these, um, which some people might like. So you could see right
Mhm.
away, like the ones in these high eights in getting close to nine. I don't usually see one above like 0.9 because that would mean it would have to be like an exact match. And the odds of you typing in this exact text are very slim. It would take and then as you go down, you'll see like some of these are a little lower. Um,
Mhm.
like this one, I scroll down to number 53, sought damages for personal injury sustained from a fall on the defendant's premises. So it
Yeah.
knows that icy sidewalk premises, they're a little close. I mean, they're not exactly the same, but maybe you want to see that. Um, for failing to salt and sand an area where she fell in snow and ice. So this is not a sidewalk, but it's an area. So it's pretty good at finding things so that you don't have to keep searching over and over with different words, you know, to try to find cases that you want. But yeah, again, there's I think almost everyone in Massachusetts has one of these case brief things. So again, you could see the intro and summary and all that. We did, Car, we did get feedback the other day from somebody
Oh yeah.
that that these things are AI summarized opinions to make this a little bit more clear because somebody might start
Mm.
putting these, and if they're like their own lawyer, they might start copying this as a citation.
Yeah,
So I
that's a
got to
good
be
point.
careful that.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Are there any others?
you need a disclaimer. Actually, by
Yeah,
Yeah,
the way,
that's what I'm
access
thinking.
to the internet.
You
We have
Don't
it on the
electronic
keep
uses
tabs.
page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep
ChatGPT
tabs.
is not involved. Yeah, because we briefly spoke about it yesterday, right? And
Mm.
it's specifically kind of in your Q&A. Then you have this little paragraph about it. Can you please tell us more? Why did you decide to just disclaim that part? Like we are not using ChatGPT for this, and why did you decide to kind of disavow yourself?
Yeah, it's a great question. And there's sort of like a marketing and positioning answer to that, and then there's the tech, answer, which is the real reason why. But one of the reasons we wanted to do, because on the FAQ, like obviously there's a million different things we could say, so we picked which things we thought would be the most important. One of the things that we wanted to make really clear is that this tool isn't just yet again another wrapper for ChatGPT. And no offense to the tools that are doing that, like I'm sure they have a good place in the lexicon, but this tool is just something really different. And so we wanted to differentiate that this wasn't just yet another wrapper that someone put around ChatGPT. So that was sort of the positioning reason, but then Rich can tell you the tech reason that there's that differentiation.
yeah. I mean, with this, you're not sitting here and asking a question. Like, notice I don't put this in the form of a question here. It kind of knows just from the you could
Not a
put
chatbot.
yeah, it's not a chatbot. That's a thank you. Um, it's yeah, it's not a chatbot, and so you're not going out and asking some chatbot master a question. You're and having it answer it. This is actually taking this text and doing some cool AI stuff to it so that it can match in a cool magic AI way to find which of these summaries it matches against the most. For example, if I go in here, let's remember this that the case involves a plaintiff who fell on an icy sidewalk outside a
Oh,
rental
sorry,
property.
rental property. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
let's go down to here. So you could see the one, oh yeah, so look, so here's paragraph one, plaintiff filed a negligence action. Paragraph two, the case involves slip and fall, duty of property owner. Opinion discuss the application of the open and obvious danger rule. And then finally, this last one, the case involves who fell on an icy sidewalk outside a rental property. It knew that this is the one that matched the most. So it didn't just give the first one. It's going through all of these parts of the opinions and finding the matching one. And that's where you get the relevance. And then there's something in there so that you won't get like five matches from the same one. So like this one might have shown up too because it's like a slip and fall and an unnatural accumulation of snow or ice. Um, so that I think what I was trying to say in a long-winded way in Kara was is where there's not really a big chance of this thing hallucinating and pulling in other case data or making up stuff because it's literally going against a closed database of summarized uh, judicial opinion text.
But you still, I mean, you still just to be on the side of caution, you'd recommend people to just verify and check the links, and if whether this case exists, because
Of course.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, down below you
stuff
could see
happens.
here's the original opinion.
Uh-huh.
So you could see like this is the part you should cite or not even cite. Like this is where you would be if you were on your own, if you fell and you were your own lawyer, or if you're a lawyer and you had somebody walk through the door who had this happen, you could see this was the original opinion. But then you might take this docket up here and put it
Yeah.
into like if you do have access to some other like one of the big ones or whatever, or Google or whatever, you can kind of look at it and research more. This is a quick way to help narrow down the universe of judicial opinions to ones that you might want. But we don't kind of talk about it as the end point, you know?
And of course our hosts are thinking like lawyers, and we appreciate that, is that of course like everything should be verified, and we don't want to run and throw this in front of a judge or something without spending time making sure it's right. Like we know how that
We've
turns
had
out.
a
But
lot
people
of
do that.
I
People do
know.
that all the
They do.
time. And I'm
They
so
do.
perplexed by why they're doing that. But it's still, I mean, every
Yeah.
couple of months we get this, anecdotal story almost about yet another legal professional, relying on this hallucinations and citing non-existing cases, and just is like, guys, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's kind of astonishing. And I would add a little flavor to Rich's point about, pointing you in the right direction. I think in addition to pointing you in the right direction, it also can point you in a direction you didn't think of. So if you look at, we have a really nice, on our website, there's a nice chat we had with a show called Idea Flow. And we talked about this on that show and some real life examples. And essentially because of the way it works, and Rich can explain more, it can find things you wouldn't have thought of, related concepts, sort of things that would give you something useful for your case. And this person actually used it for some work he was doing out in the world. So Rich, do you want to explain that more about sort of how it can find like connected concepts rather than just literal cases?
Yeah, I think in that case, it was he was telling us that he was searching up things about like digital rights or something, and managed to find some other path or cases that he hadn't even thought of, because it seems like lawyers kind of know the different cases in the different categories, but um, since this doesn't know what the most popular cases are or whatever and gives them all, it will surface any of them.
Mm.
It's possible to find cases that maybe aren't the normal ones that get cited in every single y- uh, submission to the
Right.
court.
So like
Yeah.
more obscure ones, you mean? Some
Yeah, more
obscure.
obscure ones, and
Okay.
That,
yeah,
and I think it was more like about, if I understood, and I have to go rewatch it, but I think, you know, it was more that it could be a related concept. Like, I think, yeah, it was something about, I can't remember exactly, but it's like you're looking in this vertical, but there's something in this vertical right here that actually would be very useful for you, but you wouldn't think to connect it. But there's something in the way the search terms are, the way it's connected through the database, it understands it's a similar concept in a way that a person may not. So it surfaces things that it might be hard to surface otherwise because of the way it's all connected.
Rich, can we do? I think one of our listeners
sure.
gave us the example from family law.
Yeah,
Somebody,
this
like,
one.
do you see that? Yes, here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Uh,
friend is
coercive
going through a very
control.
horrible.
Okay,
Yeah.
finances. Huh, interesting. Yeah,
Can,
family law.
Richard, can you see it? Right?
I can't see it because I'm sharing my screen and I don't
Oh.
want to do that
Oh,
infinite
Okay.
camera
So
thing.
yeah. So
So
the
just read
question
it to me.
goes, yeah, my friend is going through a very horrible acrimonious divorce, and her husband is forcing coercive control over their finances. What can she do about it?
Okay, so how do you want to type that in
I can
exactly,
text
or
it.
do you want to just?
Rich, I'll
Well, no,
text
I
it
could
to you.
I could type it in, or do you want to distill it down to a case fact, or do you just want to type in it? My friend is going through a divorce. Like it might get distracted by that
yeah.
because it's about your friend, but I could do it.
Yeah, try
Can we
it.
just
See
say
what
like
happens.
going
Let's
through a
try it
divorce?
and see how it goes. It's
Yeah,
just kind
let's
of
see.
Okay.
reflecting.
Yeah, that's exactly how I think
Yeah.
like a just person, a regular person, right?
Yeah.
A lay person would type it in.
Yeah, my friend is going through a divorce and what?
I just texted it to you, Rich, if that's helpful. If you want to
Oh,
just,
okay. Oh, very horrible,
Taking
acrimonious
control
divorce.
over
Okay.
finances.
Horrible, acrimonious
Um,
divorce.
yeah.
Kara, while Richard is typing the question, we have another one. Is the tool available outside of the US?
Not yet. Right now, it's only US law, but we are interested in applying it to any country at this point that has law in English. So we're starting to dabble around. Too soon to talk about that publicly with what we're doing there. But yes, it certainly is a model that, at least in theory, could be extended elsewhere. It just hasn't been yet. So great question.
So I'm just going to search. I'm leaving off the what could she do about it? Or do you want me to
Yeah.
put that?
No, that's
I'll
okay.
leave
I
it.
think I think that it performs better when it's not like in the form of a question, but more of a just
Yeah.
a fact pattern. Yeah, because
So
that's
I
what
will
it
hit
does.
search
Matching. Yeah.
and let's see what happens.
Huh. And we don't know what state that is, so we're just searching for all
I just
opinions.
did all of it. Well, yeah, I did all, and this is Missouri, this is
Mhm.
Texas, financial manipulation of marriage. Yeah, so this is the type of thing now you type this in and you could kind of go through these
Yeah.
and
So
maybe
it's
change your wording a bit
Mhm.
or change the states and drill down. So you could spend a little bit of time going into some type of rabbit hole or
I was going
a
to use the
positive
word.
rabbit hole. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was
So
some of the cases was saying like controlling behavior. I think that's where we could start, for example, because this is, I think that being like
yes,
coercive on finances, that would fall under probably that umbrella. I'm no way a family law expert. I'm just kind of theorizing here, where I would take that question further.
yeah, and here's the manipulate,
Yep.
dropping the divorce
Mhm.
proceedings. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's pretty good at finding pretty much anything. Ironically, and this is Car may get mad at me for talking about a new feature that I'm about to release, but um, there are still lawyers we've gotten feedback who do like to type in like a citation or just want to type in Michael Dean Sims versus Patricia K. Sims. And the way this works as is, it's actually not good at exact matching, ironically, where let's say I go into this and I go into one of these original things here. This one doesn't seem to have a lot of citations in it, but if I type in an exact citation from another case or something, like this, like if I were to type this into Describe, I don't think it would like that very much. It doesn't do, because it doesn't know what these words are,
Mm-hmm.
so it can't really figure out how to match them up or find similarities. So what I'm adding in and going to release soon, as soon as I can get around to it, is the option to search the exact same way you do with other search engines. So like a Boolean search or whatever, where you could type this in and say plus whatever, plus manipulation or plus this or and this or quotes around it, like the way people are used to searching now. So that way you could optionally search in either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
And then
how
you can,
that's how your usual legal databases are structured. That's how you learn how to use Boolean operators in the search and things like that. So, yeah, but this is, I mean, this is, I think the conception of this engine, it was a little different because you guys doing this hypos, almost like little hypothetical scenarios, and let's see what it comes up with.
yeah,
And that's because you're geared towards the not, I mean, not necessarily like a legal professional user, but somebody who has no idea, was, as you said, pro se litigants, are just people who do not have legal representation. They just go to court by themselves and they represent themselves. So, yeah, I guess to them it's not like, what is citation? What does it mean? Like all these
yeah.
little letters and numbers, it doesn't really mean anything to you if you haven't studied it for some time. So, yeah.
But of
Yeah,
course,
and
if
that
you are
oh,
a lawyer, you could still, oh, sorry, Car, just one
no,
second.
yeah.
If you are a lawyer, you can type in your complex legal concepts and terms
Yeah.
and still get the matches. You
Right.
just won't get the matches on the numbers. So under here, it'll just be like natural language search or Boolean search, and you could search either one.
Yeah, and I would say it's interesting because if we get back to the access to justice piece for a second, so when you think about the barriers that there are to the law, right, the access to the law, and people have been working on this for a long time, trying to work this out, and we have a long way to go. We know that, but there's structural sort of barriers that relate to all kinds of intersectionalities right out in our society, but cost is one of them, of course. That's like the most obvious, but there's also like a language barrier, right? I mean, and you mentioned it when you said citations. So the power of something like this is also it helps, it's translating it into a different language, into from legalese into plain English. And maybe we don't think of it necessarily that way as like different languages, but it does make it those are two of the access barriers that this tool is working on. And I see someone put a question about the format of the files.
Yeah.
And
how diverse were the format of the files that you use to create the database?
And Rich can explain that, but I can't let the call go by without saying how so much of what we're doing is because of our friends at the Free Law Project. And if you don't know who they are, you should really check them out. We get our files from one of their tools called Court Listener, which is fueling basically so much access to justice work. So just giving them a shout out because they're great. But Rich can talk about the formats.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the hallucinations or whatever, the one way that it wouldn't hallucinate, but the one way it could get confused is I have run into, and obviously this thing is run, I mean, not obviously, but it's summarized like 13 million things. And so some of the opinions were scanned out of books or gotten in other means, or maybe they're just, some of them are 30, 40 years old. And they just end up with these garbled characters because maybe the optical character recognition when they were scanned didn't work right. And so there's garbled stuff in there. And I actually found one this morning and I forget what I was searching for, but that I looked in, when I clicked the opinion, it had like the gist of the opinion, but there was just like down in the original opinion, there was just all this like garbled stuff where like the scan didn't work or whatever. And so it still summarized what it could, but I suppose it's possible like if if this sentence was garbled, then the summarizer doesn't know that it was there, and so it wouldn't know that they attended 9 counseling sessions with the husband. Um, so yeah, so that's the format. They're just it's crazy what this thing could read. I took in these original summaries and stripped out everything, and so it's just a big block of text that is so hard to read as a person, with no line breaks, no special characters, no paragraph breaks, no extra spaces, and just pump it through. And this poor summarizer has been doing it for a full year, summarizing them. I have like 11 jobs running, summarizing constantly. But I don't know. Does that answer the question about the original format, or what else did they mean?
Yeah,
Can you
I'm
hear
not,
me
I'm not
still?
sure. I
Okay.
guess maybe it was more of a technical question. I mean, I'm definitely not a technical person.
Sure.
Maybe I don't know, file extensions or something. I'm just thinking, if
Yeah,
that could
it's
be.
just a feed. It's a feed from Court Listener
Yeah.
where we have a commercial agreement, so we give them some money every month, and we have access to the opinions, and we have access to the latest opinions up to, um, and some states give them their data like up through like yesterday or something, so you could search through February 10th or something, or 12th or whatever. Um, some states are a little bit slower, so but we have access to all the latest data, and depending on the state, and those get read in and summarized too. So if you're a journalist or somebody, and or just a person, and there's a case in the newspaper, you could kind of look it up and see the summary of what it was, so that you could understand it a little quicker.
And that's,
But
Rich, can I steal a
yeah,
moment
sure.
there? And that's, we don't have it on the site now because we didn't lean into that as much. But at first, we were also using this tool for different kinds of legal documents. Like we did a couple. What did we do, Rich? We did some
Some of those indictments.
indictments. Yeah, we did some of the Trump indictments and things like that. Like there are other, and some sort of different, it could really be applied to anything, right? Like, so it could be, I think we were talking about different policies. I can't remember exactly. We did the Right to Vote Act. So different like acts, different sort of like government documents, like it really can be applied to anything. So that's pretty cool. Anything that's long and complicated, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And full of jargon, right?
Yeah. On AI.
Exactly.
EU AI Act. That's our favorite.
Yes, exactly.
Don't go there.
Crazy piece of legislation. Yeah,
Another
I think
show.
somebody asked earlier to ask the tool about AI and copyright, and I just wanted to quickly comment on that. I think we said in the beginning that the search engine has the state cases, right, from state law. So actually, copyright cases, federal courts have exclusive jurisdiction over copyright cases. So that's why we're hoping that if you guys add the federal cases here, then we might be able to answer the question about copyright. But I think all of the lawsuits are still in progress. So there have been no decisions just yet. So it's all in the preliminary kind of a stages, pre-trial. Or maybe except for what was for Kat Von D tattoo case. So that has just been, I think the decision was just out in the district court, but it will go to appeal, of course. So yeah, but I just wanted to answer that one about AI and copyright. So yeah, we won't get an answer just yet from this one, but
So-
we do have the special Delaware, what is it, the Chancellery Court or whatever, the special business court?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's all in there too, if you wanted to search for business cases.
This is like an odd case in terms of but this is so interesting.
Guys, let me just quickly ask Kara and Richard. A question everybody is dying to know the answer to, but nobody, for whatever reason, hasn't asked it. I mean, in the chat, the comments, obviously, we wanted to ask it. So, how does it feel to run a business with your spouse together and work as a team day in and day out? You just literally have to work together. Please,
Yeah.
just very curious.
Well, okay, I'll take a first stab at that because it's pretty funny. Anyone who's in marketing or IT, it's kind of like the servers and the chefs in a restaurant, right? If you've ever worked in a restaurant. So the marketing people are always bugging the technical people to hurry up and when is that thing going to be ready? And I need to launch this. And so and the IT people constantly sort of try to avoid the marketing people because they're harassing them. So it's a little bit hard to do that when you're in the same house, right? So Rich can speak for himself, but aside from just joking about, about the sort of the downside of it, I think the thing that makes it the best for us is that we have such a shared ethical sort of approach and a shared goal. Like we really, as co-founders, sometimes you can have, you don't totally agree on what you want to do or where you want to go. And so for us, it's like we're just so similar that we have a very shared ethos of how we want this to roll out. So that's helpful. But he can speak for himself about how he can't avoid his marketing lead.
Oh, that's cute.
Hi, friend.
Yeah, so from my perspective, I mean, when you work in a corporation and as a software engineer and somebody assigns you a new thing, you could say, oh, what priority is this supposed to replace? And in this case, it's kind of funny because I do the website too, like as our only. And of course, the website is what Kara cares about. And so she'll be like, when can I get a thing so I could enter in blog posts or something? And I'll be, and I'll say, well, what should that, where you also wanted the thing where you could sort by date and return the latest cases. Which one should that knock off the list? She goes, no, do both. So it's so it's a little different than working in the corporate world because yeah, it's funny though. It's just yeah, it is what it is.
It can be all consuming. Like that's the only thing is like it does run the risk of just becoming everything, right? Like we don't want it to
And
take over.
at 11 at night, one of us will have an idea, and then and it may be that you just want to kind of just watch a mind-numbing show or something instead of think about it. But
we haven't watched the show for about a year together.
Have you guys, just be honest right now,
Yeah.
have you guys ever kind of ignored phone calls from each other, like, oh, marketing again, I can't deal with this right now. Not right now.
Product management.
Oh, it's that crazy co-founder. I don't know if I literally ignored it, but I do. There are some times where I'm like, I really need to not bug him again because I can get the sense that he's about to be like, that I'm being too nudgy and annoying. So I've sort of caught myself. I think today was a day like that, actually. No, it was Sunday because it was your birthday, and I was trying not to bug you too much. But I was really
as a
hard.
birthday present.
Yeah, it was really hard. It was really hard not to bug him. So
right. I think we have a question that just popped up 3 minutes
Sure.
ago. Marina is saying this is very cool AI magic. Is it primarily on NLP system or how much of machine learning was involved in that?
yeah, I think not to answer this in a naive way, but I'm just using the models that OpenAI provided. I mean, for a while I was using Microsoft Azure OpenAI because it was faster, and the OpenAI itself was overwhelmed. For a lot of the summer, it was just like so slow. And so I switched over to the Microsoft, but Microsoft actually censors a lot of stuff, so I couldn't get it to summarize the opinions that mentioned crimes and violence. So it would kick them out. So I'm sure they're doing a lot of stuff with NLP and machine learning, behind the scenes in their models, but fortunately, I don't really have to worry about that. So I'm not the hard part on my end is kind of the architecture of storing all these summaries and matching them up and returning them quickly, and then how to summarize so many at 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 a time. Like how to summarize them in parallel, because if I just waited one, if each one takes like 5 or 6 seconds, and so you could imagine times 13 million, I mean that would probably be like 10 years or something. So you have to do it in parallel. So, yeah, but sorry, Marina, I don't know specifically what they use behind the scenes. And that's the beauty of it. I don't really need to.
So it is magic then.
It's, it is magic. Yeah, I guess it is cool AI magic.
Right.
One question that
Yeah.
um, we get asked a lot, and maybe Kara could answer this, is everybody thinks we're crazy for offering it for free. And they're like, why do you give this for free? And how do you make any money? And why aren't you more motivated by profit? And why, all those types of questions. Like we've been approached by several VCs, and they they get us on the initial call, and then they're like, what's your revenue model? And we're like, it's free. And they're like, oh, okay, well, why don't you check in with us in 6 months and see how it's going? Because they don't really like that.
Yeah.
But
What's
so
the catch, Richard? What's the
yeah,
catch?
Right?
go ahead, Kara.
No, finish your thought.
No, that's it. I mean, so that's the question we get asked a
Yeah.
lot. What would you
Yeah.
say, Kara?
Yeah, so I would say it's funny because when we went down to Legal Week, which was a great event. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. We realized we're a category of one. Like there's really nobody doing what we're doing in the way we're doing it. So we are very, like as I've said multiple times, interested in access to justice, but we're not a nonprofit, right? So we could just be a nonprofit and give it away forever, and that would be a model. But we are doing this as a calculated risk because AI is so new. This concept is so new and different than anything anyone else is doing. And it's not like legal tech. It's innovative in a lot of ways, but it's not the area where people are just really ready to try everything new, all the time. Like there's a lot of risk aversion, and there's a lot of not wanting to change, and there's a lot of concern. I have a great story about engineers versus lawyers. If there's time, I can explain that one.
Like cowboys versus aliens.
Cowboys versus aliens, right? Totally. And so there is innovation, but it's cautious innovation, right? And so because one of the joys of being a bit older entrepreneur, I think, is you can do things a little differently. Like, right, if you're really young and you're out there and you're trying to make it, maybe you can't bootstrap a little bit, or you can't self-fund. So we're lucky, we're able to do that. So we want people to adopt this tool, and there's just too many barriers to it because it's so different. So we made the decision one day that we tried it with a price, a low price. And then one day we said, let's just put it out there. Let's just put it out there for free and get people using it and show people the value of it. And we're committed to having at least some level of it free always, because that's part of what we want to do is help close the justice gap in even the tiniest little way possible. It would be valuable. And we hope that through our work with the Justice Technology Association, more innovators and more people fill that space. In any other market, in any other sane universe, if there are that many people who are consumers that are unserved, there would be companies rushing to fill in that space. And for some reason, it just hasn't happened in legal tech the way it should. So we hope we can, inspire others too. It's a bit crazy, but sometimes you have to be a little bit crazy to change the world, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm just thinking about, we have, and I guess you guys know this already, but we have we have attorneys, reference attorneys, or like research attorneys who are actually
Right.
working in public libraries,
Mhm.
and they help people with this sort of questions. So you can actually go to, like, for example, San Francisco Public Law Library on Market Street, and there are attorneys there who are working full time, and kind of helping people to get access to justice. But I don't think people even know that. So I was wondering, like, if you had any feedback from these types of attorneys who are doing this full time, this research and things like that, because I think this is something that they would also appreciate. As cool as it is to be in a library like this one, like walking, and just kind of pulling all these books out, this could be also helpful. I'm just kind of thinking about this as well.
Absolutely. And the people who do a lot of the research, aren't necessarily the lawyers themselves, right? There's paralegals, there's other people who are helping out. And librarians, law librarians are, talk about magic. I mean, they're magic, they're human magic, right? The work that they do. So yes, we definitely see this tool being something that helps, again, point people in new directions, point people in interesting directions. And, law librarians of all flavors and all sorts would be absolutely folks we want to talk to for sure. And
And along
we
those
do.
lines, I think it was a law librarian who, at least there's been a couple, but who gave us the feedback about like they were so used to typing in all the citations and numbers and page numbers and everything, and
Mhm.
they're like, I can't do that in your tool. So that's one of the reasons we're adding in another search. It was actually a law librarian because they have their own
Yeah.
language and nomenclature, and
Yeah.
they it's so advanced,
Mhm.
and it's it would be an adjustment to kind of type things just in plain English.
Yeah.
But and then to the other point about the free, actually, I was talking to Car about this the other night. It's actually when it's actually a lot of fun to have this tool where she goes into the Google Analytics or whatever and sees that there's been like a lot of users and a lot of just like you know in the thousands of users, people using it. And I can't imagine if we were charging that we'd have more than like 20 or customers or something now. And it's such a
Yeah.
slog to get every one. You have to like sell to them all, and you have to try to get them, and they want all kinds of technical support even though they're only paying $20 a month. And it's I actually find this more fun. I'd rather have a whole lot of people using it than make $2,000 a month from it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're strange. We know.
You're so strange.
We're so strange, but it's funny, and maybe we're wrong. Time will tell. But the adoption, like to convince people, again, like I was saying before, there's just so much about this that's different that it's really hard to get someone's attention and say try this thing, because also there's every other second there's a new AI company of some sort, and so how do you cut through? So it was we're not just, as much as we are trying to make a difference in the world, some of it was, I would say, rather strategic, the way we're positioning ourselves.
Cara, I found you through the MIT computational law,
Yes.
updates, because they were also talking about you, and you made some comment, on their page, and I'm subscribed to their, to DAS's updates and things like that. So that's how I found you guys. And
That's so funny. Daza was actually the person we were referring to earlier, who found had some really interesting things to say, but I wasn't sure if we should quote him. So, but since you said him, hi
Yeah.
Daza.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think we're almost at the end of the hour, and I just wanted to like quickly, I guess, wrap things up. And if there are any questions after, please let us know. I'm just gonna share, Ellen. I'm just gonna share my favorite slides. Please, can I share
Please do.
my Neo
It's
dodging
your
bullets?
birthday. You can do
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So for all the Matrix aficionados out there, so I mean, I'm just sharing this one because this AI, landscape is like changing every day. You know, we put some agenda, and then within a week it becomes almost outdated. So that's how it feels like we're trying almost to like stop all these bullets, all these questions coming at you. So we do welcome all your questions. Please let us know if there is anything you're interested in. We'll try to kind of address that. And next time, I just wanted to, here it is, here are all the bullets in action.
Well, that's why your video was
So
lagging. Yeah.
so
Getting
then
serious.
our next that's where I get to run my matrix code. I was told that was a sushi recipe actually, but I don't know. So next time we're going to talk about this. So this has been on everybody's minds recently, and I hope you guys can tune in for this next one. And as always, if there are any questions, let us know here. Contact us LinkedIn, Gmail, whatever works best for you. And this episode will be recorded. It will also be on our YouTube channel that Elena just, fought YouTube hard because their algorithms were trying to kick us out, by the way.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So Elena had to fight AI a little bit to reinstate our channel back on YouTube.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, that was a little crazy, but oh well,
I saw that on LinkedIn. That was crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you for. Yeah, I mean, but that's I think yes, just the reality of our everyday lives right now. If we have some sort of a presence online, then I guess that can happen to anyone. Just sharing our experience. So yeah, if something like that happens, you get shut down on YouTube, or you can appeal that algorithmic decision making. Yeah, and they can reinstate you.
Which we did. That's why we're here.
All right. So
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for today, guys. It was a real
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Was.
You have an amazing
thank you for
product,
jumping
Thank
in
you.
almost last minute.
and it's free and it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, millions, 2.4 million cases, 2.5 million opinions,
That's-
1 million abstracts. Go check it out and have
You're
fun.
just getting started. You're just
Yeah,
getting
just
started.
starting.
That's incredible. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
us. We really appreciate it.
Happy
Bye.
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you.